It's Chastia. It's January 2nd, 2023. And if you find this live right now and you're gravitated towards it with the title, it's because it's exactly what it is. It's a spell breaker. Behind me, I have the age chart that I posted yesterday. And this is how HILLYWOO and HILLYWOO and their woo commerce and their woo were taking your gifts. This is how they were taking your consciousness. This is how we would just wake up and be like, what the F-balls just happened? Now, this knowing and the ability to undo this didn't just come from a dream. It didn't just happen in the past year. It didn't just happen in the past 2 years. This has been a 5-year undertaking, which it always was in HILLYWOO when these MFers start flipping. Now, these are the ages, okay? These are the eras of the Zodiac. And I'm just going to go with the flow, tell y'all what I need to tell you. This video, if it'll allow me to process this and get it over, will be up on YouTube, so you'll be able to go back to it if you need to on my channel. But this is a spell breaker, so there's a lot of information on this. I just woke up, like literally, last night. Now I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take this back to 2019. And I'm even shaking. Now, this got spurred this morning because it was confirmed that I was correct, because one of my Essenes and Mim, who is the woman who, her and I got out of the collider, you had two that got all the way out of this and completed this whole thing and basically flipped it on its head. This line is now going up and down. And these curves are now going like this. And if I completed this and mirrored this on the other side, what would I get? An infinity sign. What would I also get? A Libra time thing. Whatever you call those things that flip up and down. The hourglass. A time hourglass. In a vector, it's exactly what it is. Because some of us, and it starts over here with Leo. Now, that's where the wheel started. I need everyone to understand, in Egypt, your zodiac wheel, the first house was not Aries. The first house was Leo. Whatever's in the first house is what governs the collective in the era. So in the age of Leo, Leo's in the first house. In the age of Cancer, Cancer's in the first house. Why? Because you are. Your first house of the zodiac is I am. You are. Okay? Aries in the first house, whenever I started understanding all of this, and whenever I started downloading and getting the remembrances since 2018, really. I activated 2017. It was 2018 whenever I started getting all the downloads on the charts, the errors, the different time periods, how the wheel works, how the black hole worked in a vector, in a simulation. That's whenever I started understanding this. What I want everyone to know here at off the gate right now, is that right now, and for this next year, really, what's happening is there really is two wheels. Now, if you don't have to understand astrology, you don't have to get into it. I don't want you to, because it's astronomy. That's the secret. That's the kicker. Everybody that's practicing just astrology and leaving out your astronomy and the actual energy that's governing the wheel. You're ping-ponging in a pinball machine, and you're gonna keep repeating the same crap over and over again, because as those planets get to those points, the astrologers were always saying, well, last time this was here, then this is what happened. Well, yeah, that's important information to know, but it ain't the guts of it. The guts of it is your astrologists, unbeknownst to them, most of them, some of them very aware, that whenever you keep saying this is what's going to happen because it happened before, and this is what's going to happen because it happened before, then that is what they're paid to do. They're paid to make it happen again whenever those planets line up. If you're only watching the planets and you haven't realized that the entire cosmos has changed, and that your DNA has changed, and that you're in a wheel, and that you're trying to get out of the effing wheel, you're putting yourself back together out of all of these ages. What you're doing is you're connecting to every piece of yourself. Ancestors, this is where ancestors come in. If you've got ancestors over here in Libra and Virgo era that are connected to you, oh holy hell. This is, and I'm one of them. So this is one of those. This is the truth of how the wheel of time worked in a 1,000,000-year count, and how the collective was being governed, just like a governor on a car, to keep the engine from coming up, all right? Because everything's going to mirror back and forth in a clear field. Now, I'll remind everybody that this was a 1,000,000-year reset. Whether you knew it or not, this was a 1,000,000-year reset. This is why this ended up being the end of days. This is why we're talking about this is new earth. You're not going to go anywhere different. We're not leaving this realm per se, but the frequency of everything down here and how it is printed and how it materializes in front of you is changing. That's what 5D Earth is, and more. And more. Because 5D had to be completed by going up to 55D, which is, and one of us had to get up there, which is your 555. 555 ancient Egyptian codes. 555, you see 555, you're talking about ancient Egyptian lineups. You're talking about merger of a feminine and a masculine inside a pharaoh, not a couple, inside a pharaoh template, a true manifester that can bridge that feminine and masculine and has the full energetic body in order to walk in the simulation and change it. Now, we're still in, it's like half in, half out, a simulation. Because it's been tied off, because that's what Libra is able to do. Libra over here, that's what we're all about. This is why ISIS and all these energies that people demonetize and demonize and blah, 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 about Egypt, this is where all this comes up, because we can tune the cosmos, because Libra is your hinge to the entire galactic space, and then what you'd consider the earthly realm. All of us together completed this motherfucker. So first of all, congratulations. All of us together, I don't care if you's coming at us or not, you helped us. Because this was divine intervention. We only needed one to get out, and this full-on race started 2017. 2018, we already knew that it wasn't a 12 zodiac house, By 2018, we already knew because we had walked it. We had put back together the RH negative lines. We had rebirthed all the lines that had been taken over by different entities coming into different portals, kind of like a stew, that a whole bunch of different vegetables, and then they put in some meat, and then they put in this and this and this and this, and then you put a lid on it, and then you're going to get a steam, and then you're going to get a recipe of the whole thing. Well, when you start bringing in different entities, and you start birthing AI, and you start birthing clones, and you start changing portals, and then you change portal skeleton keys and take them out, and then you have different entities that are coming through a Stargate, and now their energy is tuned to the Stargate. So now your parts of you that were over here on the dark side with first house in Libra, first house in Virgo, aren't getting in. What's happening is everybody was getting switched at the gate, and then the entire gate was tuned to a different DNA code than the human race. So whenever you cook that all together and then you put a freaking lid on it, then over a period of years, the control will get taken over in that group. And every single DNA count that's in the pot is part of it. Then it's a natural process that then a new body will be formed. Now, and this is normal if you're not porting in galactic entities, taking over neural nets, people putting shit in their brain, all to be able to set a control on the human race for the next 1,000 years, which is 1,000,000 years. And that's what time it was. That's why it's been all galactic war out here. Now, just so you understand, your current wheel, if you go look at it and you think it's not going to change and you think it's stagnant, then you have Aries in the first house. That's not true anymore. There's 2 groups of y'all. Well, there's actually 3 groups of us. Because they had a simulation set with 3 different levels. It didn't matter how much you had done. It didn't matter how much you had cleared. It didn't matter to them, because they were betting on the fact that this January 1 through January 3rd spell would work like it always does. And then basically they'd have upgraded versions because all of us were in it and powering it and maneuvering it. And then they could do their wicca wicca wah and control it with little effort, which is how this has been going on for a long time in an evolved race, because we were evolved. They kept making us stupider on purpose by doing this crap. There's 2 groups right now. You're either completely out of the wheel, which I'm hearing there's less than 30 of us in the world, because you would have to also be conscious a little bit to the fact of the wheel settings and what I'm saying in order to completely clear it. Then most of you, the majority of the masses, the majority of the unawake, the ones who maybe are just entering their journey. And remember, this is no competition. You go into it when you're supposed to. You awaken when you're supposed to, per your divine plan, per what your mission is to be here. Not all of this had to be bonsai crazy ass bitches like me and go take over HILLYWOO. Okay? That it was actually impossible. And we needed everybody working together in order to support the oldest ones down here, coming from Libra and Virgo. Virgo being your planet. Virgo being the etheric body that was the planet. Libra holding all the body templates, because that's how it worked. That's how it had been tuned and made. We only needed a couple of us to be able to channel all of this and do all the math and all that stuff that I put up yesterday that everyone's just like, staring at. That's why I was laughing, because I'm laughing too. Like, I understand that. I channeled it. I wrote it. And then I went and lived it. And we had to go take over Hollywood DNA. And we really did. It's what's happening right now. Because most of them were just our brothers and sisters that had got trapped getting in here. Now, most of y'all are in Libra in the first house. Most of you and most of the collective, I'm hearing over 75%, are operating with Libra in the first house, whether you know it or not. Libra in the first house is balance. So this is why it was a complete flip. Aries was on the first house on the other side over there, 1st and 12th house, Aries and Pisces. Well, here's Pisces right underneath the line, and here's Aries. This is why, as a collective, whenever we were steaming the pot and we were building this energy up in 2018, 2019, and Chiron moving from Pisces to Aries is a big deal. Is a big deal, because we had to, Chiron's basically the ascended consciousness in a comet that were held upside down in order to keep you in Aries. So where Chiron was bouncing back and forth, I think it was 2018, at the Pisces hinge into Aries, what was happening was this area right here, was having to be seamed up, and we were having to learn all the tools in order to be able to do that up here, because it mirrors each other. As above, so below. As above, so below. This is going to mirror is going to mirror like that. Project Looking Glass. I'm going to think about that right now. So right here is where the collective made this flip. Now I want you to notice something. Look how this goes backwards. This is Pisces. This is Aries. So they had Aries in the first house holding it, affecting Aquarius and Capricorn. This is Aquarius, this is Capricorn. This is why the lie is that we're going to go back to the Aquarius age. No, truth is we was trapped in the Aquarius age for a really long time. Don't say it anymore. You can, but you're going to experience some crazy ass mimic shit for saying it, because you'll be taught. Especially if you're a powerful one that can bring in the change by saying it. We're not going into the age of Aquarius. We're busting the fuck out of the age of Aquarius. Unless you want to be ready with Sharon Tate, and you want to do some more Charles Manson, and you want to do some more killings and sacrifices in order to be seen in the public. Because that is what this 4 houses of Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and Capricorn were doing. All of your deaths and all of the sacrifices and blah, 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 were having to go right here underneath the line. This is why they did it. This is why your celebrities were getting drawn into this. This is why they were having to do nefarious shit. This is how O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown and Pink and all their names are phonetic physics. Everything's phonetic physics. This is why they had a management. This is why management was writing it. This is why they had to sign up and do these things. It always started with a trick. It was usually a trick in a Mason contract. Then when they got you in the contract, then they I mean, man, let me tell you, your celebrities and your presidents, you want to talk about the most controlled people on the planet? and I can testify to this because I'm the one breaking out the system, and I'm one of the ones that they's coming after this whole time in order to try to get me in some type of one of their witchy cults, and I refuse to be married to one of them or to date one of them or to keep playing the game. And then whenever that happened, it was all out fucking war on me, because I have the ability to come tell you this and blow up their fucking system. And damn right we're going to blow up their system, because their little system takes over the entire world's creative consciousness. Because if you're laying down in death, which is what we were doing in the cosmos, if you're laying down in death, this is why I'm always saying we're standing y'all up. You're standing up. You're no longer laying down. If you're laying down in death and everything's being projected from your mind, then this is what rises right here in this hinge. And the closer and closer and closer that we got to the bottom of the black hole, the smaller and smaller and smaller it got, the smaller our world got, the smaller it got in the ethers, the smaller it got on land. And all of us who have been conscious through this and knew that we were sent back here from out here in order to change it, can testify how fucking small it is. This is why. Everything was built off death. Everything was built. You weren't going to get famous down here until you died, unless you signed a contract. Because you've got so many mounds, you've got so many reflections, you've got so much of this that was being projected, satellites put up, looking glass, physics, laboratory, the crap they were putting in our food, the crap they were putting in our water, the crap that they were dumping in the ocean, the freaking way that they were doing the spells on death, all your funeral homes that are selling bodies, selling heads, selling this, selling that, and then the fact, and then not even the people. And you take all the people out. Let's say all the people cleaned up their act. Well, they all run software in funeral homes. It's attached to one fucking data system, and then all that data goes in, and it only goes to a few that have all of the data. So you don't even have, the human race, it was coming to a point where the human race wasn't even deciding what the hell was going on down here. If it was in a system and the data was there, they's going to manipulate it, whether or not you knew it or not, and on a mass scale. That's how it was being done. So you're laying here, your consciousness is going up, and this is why you get attacked whenever you elevate or you start standing up. Whenever you start standing up, what happens is your head's going to go here, then your head's going to go here, then your head's going to go here. When it gets straight up to where it's supposed to be, then you're going to keep going up. When you get up here, now's whenever you're out of the matrix of death. When you get up here, then that's whenever the zaps come in, the EMFs come, freaking people start attacking you, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Everybody, the whole group, because you're a new frequency up here that's in all this space and all this control. And that's what you control whenever you're standing up. So what you're always controlling is negative space. What you're always controlling is the energy. What you're always controlling is the air. What you're always controlling is the stuff you can't see, the unseen, the force. Over time, whenever you get up here, what happens is you start building. You're gonna get your ass kicked. It just is what it is. Ain't no one can stop you from not getting your ass kicked spiritually or possibly physically whenever you get up here. Because the whole point is that you have to learn how to protect yourself. You personally have to build up your own protection and your own This is sent back to sender, stuff like that. But realize that those of us who finished this with everybody connected to us, right? The reason that we became bulletproof was over 4 years of getting our ass kicked. We didn't just pop out up here completely protected. There's been a process of ascension that started in 2020 for all of us to claim who we were over here in Virgo and Libra. Now, whenever you're the planet, whenever you're Gaia, whenever you're been the sacrifice for Earth ever in your lines, whether that be an Ostera ritual, that be some type of pagan ritual, that be, whatever. Or if you're a descendant from anybody that was involved, from the one that is doing the sacrifice, or from the demon weird guy that's having sex with her. Both sides exist. If you're in those lines, then you had a heyday of it this past 6 years. Because that energy and the sacrifice is what sent you to the dark side. And the dark side is basically Libra, Virgo, with the hinge over to Scorpio into Sag. This is when I start talking about M-suns and I start talking about dark side of the moon and dark side of the sun. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those of us who were sacrificed, who with intention in large groups and pagan rituals, which over time is all written in a book. And then who was the guy in the woods that had sex with her on the equinox? Because that guy's name's in a book, and that guy became a big deal. Because the woman vanishes. The one who actually becomes a planet. Now that guy that had sex with her becomes king of the kingdom in a weird effed up way on the dark side. This is all involved in prison systems. This is P. Diddy. I'm telling you about the underbelly of the celebrity machine. And the thing is, 8 to 9 out of 10 celebrities have no idea. In fact, they're so ignorant to it. They don't want to know. They don't want to ask where the energy comes from. They know not to. They stay stupid. They want them to stay stupid because then, number one, they'll realize that they don't need them when they understand the full process of how stuff works down here. If they knew exactly what they were doing to the collective, if they knew exactly that they just sold off their twin in space, which is what happened. This is why none of your unions are here. They contracted all your twins. This is where Bellatrix comes in. And then they want to say, oh, you're crazy because so-and-so says they're in love with you. Yeah, I'm a fucking high priestess and I'm powerful as fuck and you have me running your whole Hollywood system. He's just a fucking actor. But to the world, it's like, oh, you're just delusional because you think, no, you fucking activated the shit out of me to where I'd zap some man across the fucking moon if he put his pecker in my hoo-ha because of the power that you gave me, and there's only a certain amount of men that you have done it to, that's been involved with it, they can hold my energy down here for a effing reason because it's all about ascension. And even your Hollywood machine was built for ascension. Your true Masons, the root of it, the root of why it was all there was good, positive, built for now. Kind of in order to keep us all in a little group too. My heart is racing. Most of the collective will be in Libra in the first house. Now, if I look at what's opposite, and I'm downloading a big piece of this with y'all. I was in a dream last night seeing all this, because we made some big moves because I knew what time it was. If I go Libra right here, well, here's Aries. See what I'm saying? Well, see, so your wheel was actually happening right here. Here's Aries in the first house. Here's Libra in the 7th house. There it is. What's wrong with that picture? Well, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, Taurus are way over here. So if you haven't mastered, or if you're higher, because the whole collective wasn't, we were asleep to the powers of the top of the wheel, because the top of the wheel had always been governed for us. So it's like these lower houses were the caboose on this train. But this is where this wobble and this flip comes in. So most of the collective is in Libra in the first house right here, and everything has to be balanced. This is where you kind of become the sun and the moon at the same time. For those of us who just went through it, this is what energy started culminating in 2019 in our worlds, and then went fully online 2020. And in 2020 is when the pandemic, all that started. But the reason that they had you masked and the reason that she had you in a room is because of this. Because they were trying to mirror all of us seeds back here on the dark side of the moon that were bound got activated. They did it on purpose. They woke us up. It's a 10,000 year count. It's a 20,000 year count. I'm still not exactly sure how Elon Reeves Musk did it. There's actually a trigger in Giza, and it's like an ear trigger that it was out in the cosmos, and if you hit that, when the collective hit that signature, then that's when your most ancient wake up. Well, in HILLYWOO, in HILLYWOO, because it's two different things, all of their black magic and all of their power sources were being taken from your Egyptian pyramids, gods, whatever. This is why they were trying to find the bodies in Iraq, and this is what the war was, in order to get the DNA and all of the DNA back over into CERN, so that they could put that energy in and do the CERN stuff. But all the power that they had, and I'll say it again, had, was based on those of us that were the true DNA counts for the true descendants of those lines, built with body templates, mummies, sacrifices, because we all sacrificed ourselves a long time ago in order to be able to be here right now, so that the entire human race didn't blip out into nothing, which almost happened. 4 seconds. And if we wouldn't have been here, and if all of this would have just kept going, everything would have ended. Like everything. White out. Nothing. So most of the collective is having to go into a very clear vector. Everything's going to become blatantly obvious, and you're going to be getting your ass kicked a lot. Libra in the first house. Those of us that have been in the process, or that were in the Essene lines, or not in the most ancient lines, but the ones that were more attached to the human race from the last 963 years, you couldn't have ascended anymore than where you got, because all the masses of people that were being dumbed down in order to hold you down like fucking sand in a sandbag. You're going into Cancer in the first house. Because Cancer in the first house is linked back into your soul, your heart, the mind, one body, one collective, understanding how all of that works, and then how you are able then to become your true character. And it's mirroring Capricorn because we're building a new paradigm down here. Okay? So when you start understanding how wheels of time and the wheel works, understand that the whole collective doesn't have to be on one setting even. Because as the energy's coming through the cylinder, there's different there's different settings then as to that energy that's coming up that's needing to then balance out and culminate in order to fill these missing gaps. Because my team didn't have, I mean, we didn't have all the parts. We were battling this ancient stuff. And our whole thing was flipping this like this. And this is where Joshua and the carpenter and blah, 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 blah. This is what it really is. It's not, I mean, he might have been a carpenter on land, but this is what it really is. And this is why Christ consciousness is all, and it's all about activating your Cossacks cable in order to get Christed so you can activate your third eye and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So that you can stand up. So basically, the last 5 years has all been about Virgo, and this is our head, standing up. That's our head. Here's our body now. Just like that. But we only had a nail right here, a nail right here, a nail right here. We had some wings, so we were able to put a nail right here. We had some wings, so we were able to put a nail right here. You see what I'm saying? So as an entire collective, what us most ancients and what our job was to get out of the collider, get out of the wheel, get up into space, and get as high as we could into an evolutionary count. And I'll post a picture of the Ascension star mat when I hang up from here on the channel. Because because it all has been an evolution through a DNA line for the entire human race. And Centauri is basically right here in the middle, but you needed to get all the way up here to Spica, and then your Orion stuff was way out here, and your Arcturus and all that stuff was way over here. And then Sirius, which was your body, which is Cancer, which is your body, which is your mind, which is your consciousness, is way down here. Okay? What's Watergate? This wearing is really interesting. What's Watergate? All the water's over our heads. And the ocean's really over our heads. Because we're really in a vector. When we got up here, and in order to get up here, in order for y'all, because basically what y'all did is slingshot me. Boom! Y'all slinged the collective. This happened 2021. 2020, we had already done what we did. If you were moving around, if you were doing grid work, if you were leaving your house in 2020, when everyone else was sitting still, then you were involved in this. If you were sitting in your house, just listen, because your turn's coming, and it's just as important, if not more, is my point. 2020, when we were running around and we were inside a vector mirroring time, That's why they didn't want anybody out. That's why they wanted just a few people running around, because what you were doing is basically you had backed up your data. And you were in real time writing it. Let me give you an example. I went into a bank in Arizona on a specific day and opened up a bank account. And a whole bunch of shit changed in politics in the White House the day after I did it that was attached to it. And I couldn't figure out what the F. Well, I had opened up a bank account the same exact day in the same geogrid as my ancestors that were in the industry in 1947. That part. Because it really was an accounting setting that was coming from the past, and those of us that were tuned in were following suit. We had left town. We were in Arizona. That isn't even where we lived. We were in the same geogrid, and then we walk into a bank, and then we set up an account on the same day. Now realize that that's what's going on every move that you're making. Especially as you're clearing out of it. They'll get to a point where you've proven who you are, and those moves don't matter as much as your ability to channel the shadow and freaking and defend yourself and the collective that's attached to you with all the spiritual power. That's like phase 3. You're tested to see, okay, if you came from that line and that's what you're saying that you are, and you proved it down here on land, but can you handle it? But can you hold it? But can you protect him? But because it is what it is. It's a big it is a big old human experiment. It's a big old test. Every single bit of it. That's phase 3. So what happened was in 2021 when they did the Gabby Petito thing, because it was around that time, because no matter, and then that's why all these people that are doing these sacrifices and stuff, fine, looks like you're never going to stop, but just know every single time you do, you throw us up, literally. Literally. Because everything down here is helping us. So if you're in your closet going, "Oh, I'm gonna bring on the demise of the chosen ones," which is happening right now. Woo! See, transmuting. Every single bit of darkness and every single bit of low frequency bullshit that you're drumming up is helping us match it in the higher to a higher force in order to eat it, literally. So keep doing it because you're helping us. We didn't just get there as a collective. It took 4 years to build that energy up in order to get there. When they did that sacrifice, that I firmly think in another realm Gabby Petito was even aware of and had signed up for, by the way. When you get up to speak up, whenever I had to get up there, I had to go toe to toe in the ethers with it's Kanye West. But you know how he went to the Met Gala and he had that black morph suit on and he wore all that weird ass shit and did that? Well, that's what his character was basically. And this is kind of like, well, it's tagged on to the straw man stuff. It's not necessarily the straw man because that would be a little different. But let's just say that. So what they do is they sacrifice their souls and they sacrifice, and then each character that's involved in the full-on ritual then will get all the power of the other ones in a false way, the same way that I just talked about. This all happens naturally. So whenever I got up there, because it was all about hitting that speak array and making sure that we connected to Speaker to bring in that energy for the collective. Well, their intention was to just bring it in and control it, but they could never reach that speak array. They weren't getting all the way up there, which is with all of us working together. And this is even through the AB negative blood system. This is why the blood system was set up this way, in order to defeat this energy. Because even Kanye West got taken for a ride. There wasn't none of us down here that weren't getting taken for a ride in some way, because we were all being manipulated and utilized in a vector in order to hurt each other. Period. Dot. Because everything had been taken over for such a long time. We was all working together to get out of this, whether we realized it or not. Everybody just needs to fucking realize it now. So whenever I got up here, basically this guy was standing there. Basically. This guy was standing there. And I was like, who the fuck are you? I had to walk the Y chromosome. See, the Y... This is coming in right now. This is downloading right now. Because this is your Capricorn. Because unbeknownst to us, see, this is why AI took over. AI took over way longer ago than you think. And not AI as in a conscious. I'm talking about a technology, a machine. The human code. The human code was cracked a long time ago. The humans, all of us together, had been doing this for a long time. The problem was these guys that were up here in the unseen knew how to handle unseen energy. And it's way bigger than a sorcerer or anything like that. These are the entities that I'm always screaming, y'all don't want to know, you don't want to know, you don't want to know, you don't want to know. Because if, like, you know, I was attached to the Voyager and I was out in space, if you's in Libra over here out in space for a long time, you fucking know. That's a reason space is carved up. We's running from them. There was no human, nothing. Like, no human compassion, no human understandings. Everybody realizing now who their checkers are? Where'd all the, what program took over people that it's like, if it ain't in the computer, it's not true. Nobody wants to have a conversation anymore. If it ain't in the computer, it's not true. Well, this. Because the collective was doing this, then they were making their own thing, their own weird man, and then this guy was getting all of the energy, and then he's completely controlled by the dark side. And this is what made MJ12. Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, remember that video? And he's like standing, and you're like, how is he even doing that? It looks like his feet aren't moving, but he's standing and he's wobbling like he's a GPS compass. It's because the entire collective was holding him up. That video was showing you that they had hit that. Remember all the dead people coming out of the ground? Well, then what year was that? Because everything was done 10 years in advance. Everything in our world that has to do with this is done 10 years in advance, because it's going to take 10 years for it to hit down here to control the whole thing. Okay? So when I got up there and then took over that ray, then basically I never left. Because like my whole etheric body had blown up there 2021. Then I'm standing up there, but I don't have a contract, I don't have management, I don't have any of that. I've got a bunch of collective that's screaming at me that I don't know what I'm talking about, telling me that I'm insane and this and this and this, even though I've walked every fucking bit of it. Still don't have a crew that's supporting me completely. So, because I was your Gaia this last round. Everybody even forgot that there was someone in your fucking planet. No one even cares. You ascended out of the planet. This is how this shit was continuing. Because everyone in entertainment that's involved in this knows what this piece is, whether or not they understood to the extent that it was controlling the human race. And then those groups are supporting with intention those people in order to do it. Well, it was just me and my crew holding it up for the world as y'all were all telling me bullshit and freaking as we're trying to hold this way out there into a bigger dome because we're the real deal. And this is real deal. This is the real time. This is what time it is. End of days. The rest of the collectives in Cancer in the first house. Because basically with Cancer in the first house, which Cancer is right here. See, we're finally working on this bubble over here. Everything's been about over here. We had the Master Sagittarius, we had the Master Gemini, the Master Sagittarius to take over Capricorn, and then I basically had to blow myself out completely and become a sorceress in order to take over this motherfucker so that we could take over the controls to this bitch. And that is a level of power that I have. You don't want to have to do it that way. The more power that you have, then the more unhuman you seem because of the way. This is why celebrities hang out with each other. This is why they were managing who they were dating. All of it was to keep these two bubbles from merging. So all of you that I would consider my ascended, because there were only a couple of us that got all the way out. There only needed to be. We needed the rest of you inside with everyone else because we had to become that and deal with all of that. If y'all would have popped out too soon, which is why you felt like it sometimes you were going backwards, which is why you didn't know energetically what was going on. This is why this whole last year has been like we were dead. And we couldn't make any moves in 2023. All these things. This is why we had to have 3 babies that were born through this over 3 years with the new DNA template. Because whenever I went up to Spica and we hooked that ray, what we did was take over the DNA. Which means Hollywood doesn't have a template. They don't have a secret anymore. There's no sacrifices in order to lay on your template. All of the sacrifices that they did in the last 5 years, thinking that it was going to hook in now, even the ones that the celebrities signed up on themselves to become other characters in whatever the fuck, it's all happening right now. January 1st through January 3rd. That's when they do it. It's why I'm shaking right now. It's why I couldn't. I woke up, got some coffee, had to fucking come on here and do this right this very second. Because what's happening is, for the first time in human history, their spells are rejecting. Not even not gonna hold. They're gonna reject. Because their shit is programmed. Really, if I could keep going, Spica's gonna be like, the head's gonna be like all the way up here. That's where we are. That's where the human template is. That's where the collective put back together the human template. Way the F-balls out here. This whole thing, this is the Sophia body. This is how long it's been going on. But the only thing that we didn't have control of was right there. This is all of the DNA that needed to be down here per numbers, per the Bible, because I walked every bit of it. It's very organized. Those DNA strands were re-put back together, and now we've got Andromeda beings are in your template. Like they're all in the template. And even cloning, because it's all in the template, in the new one, that's holding way out there. Because this is merging 5 spheres of space, because this was getting, and then harvested and planted and bred. Multiverses, all that bullshit. It's fucking nuts. There's one now. Well, they always had control of this template. So what would happen is January 1st through January 3rd is when they would do the spells on the celebrities. Because right now, the sun just went into Vega. Vega's maroon and white. Vega's in the middle of Capricorn. Hold on. Not to mention, June is January. I'll just remind you that. In another time count, June, Johnny Cash in June. June is in January. In another time count. And whenever you're coming from way out here and you're an Ostera, you're like us, you're the ones that are attached to the earth that make your earth, literally. Wherever we are in space, literally. So if you take all your Ostera babies and you put them in deep space, in a deep hole, guess where your earth manifests? In a deep hole. That part. Because it was being done for so long, and because everything basically had been cored out in this bubble, it had been cored, to flip it this way, to flip it this way. Oh, look, we've got a little bit over there, so let's do it that way. I mean, this is what the G and managing the G was all about. It's what all of it was. Even if your grandfathers and didn't know what they were doing over time was building up the power, so in the end they could do it this easily, with even Keanu Reeves posting that little deal for part of it. Vega is slap dab. This is Capricorn. This is Capricorn. So this is Lyra 1, which is your first root race. Then it bridges into Lyra 2. Lyra 2 there's two settings. There's one before Vega and one after Vega. And then this is Lyra 3. And this is where Pluto and Saturn were in 2020, whenever we had the big 2020 thing. It's because that's when they poured it in. Lyra 3 is Trinity degrees. Lyra 3 has always been the completion. Lyra 3 is what takes over and bridges it over into Aquarius in order to pixelate, in order to build a reality cage for the Leos, basically, in the wheel. Well, Vega is maroon and white. Number 1, Aggies, Texas A&M, boom, ding, 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 ding. Any organization that uses maroon and white, I mean, when I went to school in College Station, like every single, I mean, I was in maroon and white gym clothes by the time, from the age of 3 all the way to graduation. Every single one of the schools over there, our colors are maroon and white. Well, this is why. Maroon, this is a 20, this is basically, you can think of Vega, and if you have this energy, okay, if you have this energy, it's 11 degrees and 55 minutes of Capricorn to 15 degrees and 55 minutes of Capricorn. It's dead on at 13 degrees and 55 minutes of Capricorn. Notice how I'm saying 55, 55, 55. Well, FYI, it's the only one that does that. Every single one of the other degrees is 0, 0. It's on the mark. But whenever you get to when you get to the very top, where this straw man's going to get... No, let me tell you what Vega is. It's all 22 star races DNA into one. So remember that, like, if you were buried and you were sacrificed down here as XYZ, XYZ, then you were what? Sent out into the dark side. Well, then you get on the dark side, and then you're kind of put in a pot with everybody else. Everything's out, you know, all over space. And basically, then that's where you get into even Zeta, even all of them. Any race that was out there and not human went into a Vega bloodline. But just like if you're ascending from the ground and your DNA had been laid down here, laying down here is the most ancient down here, then Vega is going to have the same type of funnel, but it's going to be whoever has, whatever DNA line has the most star connections with the connection down here. So this is why they would do the sacrifices. This is why they'd want us out there. Because they would have to put us out there in order to bridge them in. And I'm describing the twin merger, by the way. And this is the 5 spheres. They're your two main twins, the lovers. Because realize that's... you're getting hybridized and harvested from every goddamn direction. Vega's 22 star race DNA bloodline. So it's like being the AB negative of space. It having all of them together. Well, it's off 5 minutes. So if this was going to be dead on, I need new markers. This is going to be dead on at 0, 0. Well, I'm going to back that up just a little bit. And so it becomes a parallel. Five minutes off. It's like a back door. It's how that Kanye West entity, it's how I could even see him, because if it was on true count, then whenever everything culminated, I just would have boom, and it would have lined up in him, and I wouldn't have even been able to see that illusion out there. But it was 5 minutes off, and it was always a back door, and this set up a parallel. If you have this energy, you are blessed because you're a healer. Like, you know, this is the same thing as an AB negative or having a double simian. And then a vegan. Those are like 3 different dimensions of the same energy. But the thing is, it's a blood energy. It's a gamma energy. It's not... I mean, it can be used high vibe, don't get me wrong. It actually takes you extremely high vibe once you learn how to transmute and clear it. But if you have vegan energy, what you're doing is sucking the evil out of people, no matter if you know it or not. The problem is with the vegan energy is if it's all sucking into you and then you're getting paid to hold it, or you don't know that that's what you're doing, and so you get around a whole bunch of people and then you get sick or your energy goes down, well, it's because you need to transmute it, because what you're doing and just being around people is clearing them. Well, if you don't clear yourself, and if you don't understand how to do that for yourself and understand that that's what you're doing, you're picking up everyone's trash. So this is where your ancient alchemy skills have to come in. Right? And this is how we did it. All of us ancients that have been moving this throughout time to stand up in order to get up there, and a crash course of it, a 52-year crash course. And then with a 5-year final. You think of it like that. Because that's what we've been doing for 5 years. We got up here, 2020. We got up here, 2021. We got up here, 2022. We got up here, 2023. Takes 5 years to make a massive change. 5 is change. It takes that long. These are long periods of time. It don't happen overnight. This is why everything in 2024 is going to line up to a T to 2023. It's going to keep going until 2032, 2035. FYI. You can't look at time the way you used to. You really have to look at time as what you did last year and what you did 3 years ago, especially if you're one of us from the dark side or one that's being ported in to merge with us. Understanding that if you had a lot of Vega energy, notice I'm doing this. If you had a lot of Vega energy, you's being controlled to control the rest. They wanted to cap you off. They wanted to make sure that you held that evil ass energy. They wanted you to spin out. They didn't want you to transmute it. They wanted you to be a boulder to the collective. And that's what a lot of celebrities have that have this Vega degree that were linked to the original forming of this whole thing. Because this even goes back to, it will explain mermaids. I mean, this gets really complex and really deep because of how long and the experimentation and what was going on in order to bind it, in order to keep us from getting outside of their weird little thing. Now, notice this little area around here that's empty, okay? Well, that's where your Xenon, Scientology, MJ12, Elon Reeves, Musk, Keanu Reeves, now you have been indicted. You can be Constantine. I'll let you be Constantine for the next 1,000,000 fucking years for what you just did. Everybody's got to learn their lesson. Because life is now up here. Is not in, all this is just a cancer that's being, because whenever you blend all this together and you stand up, this is what you ascend from. It really is like you're coming out of the wheel and now you're standing in the cosmos and you're like, what the fuck? If I do this, why do the lights blink? If I drive my car, why does it snow? Why is everything interacting with me? It's a freaking mind jack. And that's just phase 1. Because once your energy gets connected back into the roots of the technology, and then once everything in the technology is feeding you your life story, and everything you see that's popping up is clearing something and showing something. That's why if you see this video, you're supposed to. Any video that you see, you're supposed to see it. You see it, not me. Whatever you break, whenever you're calling stuff in, whenever you're doing protection, or whenever you call off somebody, or you have to do a send back to sender, or whatever message that pops up on your television, that pops up on your phone, that pops up at your door, whatever. It's just the government coming to tell my mom some shit about Medicaid. No, not in another dimension. In another dimension, it's the government showing up at your door to do something. These are all things that you have to master whenever you're bing, 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 bing. Because what you're doing is going up and down this motherfucker. Your head is all the way up here. This is how I say we can jump back into the matrix anytime we want. If I would have gone out New Year's Eve night, I would have gone out around this realm right here that's in the Scientology crap. That's why a lot of this is your RH negatives had handlers, and Scientology was following us, and da 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 da, and everybody down here was going, oh, you're paranoid, and no, I'm in the Xenon layer. Now this all culminated, and I'm gonna end because this is a lot of information, but this needed to be told. All of you need to know, because, and this is, I mean, I haven't been able to do nothing but go make my coffee downstairs, wake up from a full-on freaking download because of the moves my crew did, and I want to give extra props and send my crew love right now, because, and know that all of this information and all these tips and stuff are available in the ethers as well. You don't have to wait for us to get the book out. If you can't tell, we're kind of busy freaking still doing all of this. We have all of this education stuff ready to go. We've got massive amounts of products and things to get out to y'all. But right now, use your telepathy, use your skills, and say, Chastia, tap in. Essenes, tap in. Use your telepathy. We're connected, and we're all talking up here. We're all at night bridging and having dreams, and all of y'all, when we wake up in the morning, I don't care where you live, then you're making your moves down here according to the plan that's being done up here. This is the hires and all this mess. Use your telepathy. Chastia, tap in. If you have an astronomy question, or you don't have the answer, or you get it, my crew's done this for a long time. In fact, I had one girl that that was traveling with me when we brought in the Ophiuchian Ray, and her son was 18, and he was traveling with us, and they'd be in the car, and he'd be doing something retarded, and that was spiritually retarded, and she would say, Chastia, tap in, and then go off on Kevin, and Kevin would literally turn to her and go, Chastia. Knowing it was me yelling at him, giving the information, because it was all my information. You're tapping into this consciousness out here. It's readily available. It's in the files. You don't have to wait for the book. You don't have to wait for I mean, you can go buy this. I would suggest you do. I would suggest you go to cohu32.com and at least understand these ether layers, because understand this is what it is. It's DNA in a vector in color. It is what it is. You're traveling through these layers as we put them back together in a new DNA sequence. But if you're up here, Chastia, tap in. Essenes, tap in. Because Essenes set the scene. There's a lot of information right here that you need in order to create your new life. Because all of this, you don't have no life until you create it. I just got a violation warning. For what? I don't know. Because I just wiped the board? Maybe. Because we're doing it live right now. Y'all want to give me some hearts for that? You have to build your connection. This is why your story and your journey is so important. Because you find out who you were. Well, that isn't who you're going to be now. We're not going to come and rule Egypt. I mean, I remember whenever I ascended from the Cleopatra tomb in 2020. And a lot of y'all are going to have this same knowing. Because it was going. They opened up my coffin. And I was alive. And they were like, oh, she's alive. She wasn't really dead. And then they wanted me to put on a costume and start dancing for them and have a party. Literally. 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 And I wasn't too happy about it. I was alive in there the whole freaking time. You just, Now you want me to come throw a party? Now you want me to entertain everybody? Do you know it's coming? Do you know why I was kept alive in there? We aren't just going back. This is the age of Sagittarius. For those of us that are all the way out, and for the masses, first house is in Sagittarius right now. Because that is the level of alchemy, and that is the level of reality change, and everyone's turning into a walking pharaoh in the new energy, not the old energy. You have to remember the alchemy tools of that time period in order to even have the slightest on how to maneuver pixels and data and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Sagittarius was just a training ground. Egypt was just a training ground for now. It ain't going to be a blip back to that. Everybody has the opportunity to become a walking pharaoh. That's what we want. We don't want to be responsible for everybody. We don't want to build your world anymore. Well, right now, we kind of have to. So all of us have to create our character with everything that we've learned, that we've known, that we've mastered. And you can't just hang up your high priestess hat. You can't just be like, okay, cool, well, that spiritual part is done now. Now I can just go back to my real life and I can just build a company. No. The whole thing was run from spiritual energy to begin with. It's how you do build a company. It's how you do build everything. It's through those Sagittarius alchemy of the masses. But it's all in high vibe now. Every single bit of the way you do everything has a flow pattern, and it's connected in your days of the week because it's connected into the planets that are on those days, and it's connected into the time, the month, and all that crap is still in play. And you can't just be like, oh, it doesn't exist, it's an own calendar, and da-da-da-da-da. You can't do that because the rest of the world's running off of it, unless you just want to live up here in this little weird space, which I don't. That's where we've been. I suggest you not do it. Because if you're the only one up here, then you're the only one getting attacked by the rest of them trying to take it over. This is why I say we blew out a hole in Virgo. 5 to 9 degrees Thuban. That whole stuff came up with the Hoover Dam and the Thuban star. That's your King's Chamber. Thuban, Giza, Osiris. Osiris was tuned to Thuban and Alpha Draconic. The only star systems in his whole on his whole King's Chamber, we're going to those two. Well, that's Virgo. Osiris King's Chamber is tuned to the 15th dimension, which is your 6th dimension, which is right before you get to 7, which is your Judah dimension. Queen's Chamber was only tuned up to 13. And this is where all of us who were dealing with the Queen's Chamber, literally, for 2 fucking years, were going, God damn it, Osiris, fucking wake up! Boom, 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 boom. You motherfucker, do you know I got Zetas in my tomb? You motherfucker, do you know what the fuck I'm dealing with? And Osiris is like, no, completely oblivious. Meanwhile, we got everything coming in down here trying to attack the body, Zeta Reticuli, all types of crazy ass shit flying in. And the female became the masculine and had to take it all over. It's what it was all about. Merging Osiris and Isis into one energy in order to elevate outside of that whole entire structure. It's all going to crash, including your pyramid. In fact, it might crack in 2 before this is all over. Because it's no longer needed as an infrastructure to build it. We did it. January 1st, 2019 through January 3rd is whenever this mass spell was done. And those of us who had to connect with twins, with partners, with friends, whatever energy was around you at that point. And this could have happened to you in 2020. This could have happened to you in 2018. Wouldn't have been any sooner than 2017. Just depends on who you are and your energy count and where you were in here and what time it was coming, what time it was for you, because there is no time. But to me, it happened 2019, and it's a mass ritual spell that they do during Vega to tune blood up here. And it's what they always did on New Year's. It's what their little black magic apron bullshit was. It's even popping off fireworks. It's all the rituals that we do all over the world that we didn't realize because they'd been doing it for a long time. They were maneuvering a lot of different things to the point where the human race was just keeping it going for them by doing things that you would just call normal New Year's Eve stuff. But the intention was really nefarious. Well, not this year. New template. So it's basically like trying to throw Kanye West at me to bind into my energy, to take me over. But now I'm no longer tuned to any of the DNA that they had on the shelf. And neither are you. So what's going to happen is to the celebrity, to the ones that were in the network piled together through these written DNA lines over time, including you get to be it and you don't because you're not going to be in the group. You're not, you're too pure and you're going to get in here and you're going to mess stuff up. So no, we can't have you in the industry because our whole intention is to take over energetic and you're going to tell everybody what the hell's going on. Well, it's kind of the only way to keep reality going down here. And if you want a current of money, then everybody needs to start waking up and realizing this because it's a whiteout. So, I mean, we can sit here as long as we want, but if this brand isn't backed, because the brand was sold off to the mafia. They're all talking about the brand. And I still don't have even an investor that wants to even give me $1,000 to help raise it. Because, I mean, I built a $3 million company off 50 grand in 3 years already. But just so you know, if this brand... because this brand is your etheric layers. This brand is your Nisara Gasara. This brand is how, within a year or so, depending on the connections, if I can get my technical connections and my partnerships the way that they're supposed to, this is how you turn on your phone and you turn on the digital currency that we will have set up, and it's going to interact with your energy field, and you can get in a circle with your high vibe friends and make money by charging energy, making energy. It's how it's designed. That's not going to happen until we get it off the ground. That's not going to happen until all of the rest of the masses support us, the ones who have these products that are written up here, because until their dying day, they're going to support the other bullshit. And you're going to get Elon Musk Reeves, and you're going to get January 1 through January 3, and then all your energy is going to go to him, and then you're going to have a robot doing it for you, and then you're going to hate him, and then you're going to call us crazy, and then, okay, well, then this is gone, so where are you going? See, this is where it gets, this is where you think that we'll get upset with you, you think that we're screaming at you, you think that we're not emotional about it, but, there ain't no emotion where it's going. So you either get it and you get on board in order to get up here with the rest of us to make the new current, or you are getting on a ship and basically to go to the pits of hell, and you have 1,000,000 years to figure it out. And it literally is what it is. Because whenever these gates finally close, you can't get out. Trust us on that from the dark side. You gotta wait. Love y'all. January 2nd, 2023, 24. This will be over tomorrow. Just realize this is what's coming in to try to set right now. So and this is also why me and my scenes were on the phone last night going, why do I feel like there's nothing coming? Why do I not see anything? Why do I not see any timelines? Why do I feel so lonely? Da 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 da. Well, it's because we disconnected from them, because they've got to fall on their face. And those are the connections that we're used to. And all the timelines that they had written have just crashed. Literally. As they're trying to wield this, it's crashing, 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 crashing. It's all happening live right now. So if you're starting to feel a little bit hopeless, or like it's not going to happen, or where did my connections go, or why do I feel so even lonely in the ethers, whatever, just realize that right now we're cleaning house until the 3rd. January 6th. Hold on to your hats. January 6th, 2019 is whenever I got the download of this Tesla codes. That's whenever the download came in, and this is your notorious January 6th bullshit. But all of that happened because in 2019, I picked up the download in order to be able to get us the F out of it, what was going down. So January 6th is a culmination of 5 years of it, and it's what's culminating, and we're cleaning house right now. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to make a decision that says, I seen a video here about 360 days, not 365. What we'll do as a collective, as more awaken and the true DNA counts come in, because we won't even go back to an old calendar system. The old calendar systems were made for that period. What'll end up happening is more of us come into this higher frequency, and over the next few years, our calendar will just change. And it won't necessarily go back to anything that was before, because it's a new frequency that's having to bridge over this calendar. So what's happening this year is that this January is like our first 13th month, because so much time and so many timelines are having to be resurrected, connections be resurrected, beings being moved around, because there was so much being stolen and manipulated. And I mean, for 1800 years, I mean, I'm talking every single one of your monarchs, every single one of those timelines, the way it was all set up for control has crashed. Those of us that have proven those energetics, it's not like you're going to crown us queen. That isn't the point. It's not what we wanted. It's the energy of the collective is coming to our field, because we're the most ancient, and we're supposed to be in positions. If they wouldn't have messed with me, I would have been your Elon Musk. Remember, I got into spirituality because I developed, I had all the keys, and I was putting them into the internet. I was supposed to be your last president. Now, I'm kind of glad that my timeline didn't stick, because I don't necessarily want to be the president. But whenever you're Gaia, whenever you're the planet and it's an ascension and you're a processional being, the reason that you're supposed to be the president is because you know what's going on with the planet. And you're telling Japan, warning, get everybody to evacuate, or we need to have a dance party in Japan right now. Japan and China, you need to have a massive fucking dance party. Same thing with Dubai. Y'all need to get on the streets and have a massive fucking dance party. Like, literally. It's probably your only hope. Stuff like that. So there's a reason that we had the titles. There's a reason that we had the resources that we had. And then everyone, and this whole machine was set up just to come take our resources and not do the job and keep you trapped. Stuff like that. Right. Love y'all.